Welcome to the Random Rundown, your getaway channel to find some interesting facts, stories, or just burn those extra 5 minutes before you finally put your phone away and go to sleep. We know you mean it this time. Today we're going to be talking about a trend that's been making waves in the world of work, the 4-day week. But before we dive in, let's ask ourselves a question. How many of you would love to have an extra day off every week? Well, it turns out that more and more countries are experimenting with just that, giving their workers a 3-day weekend, while still getting the same amount of work done. So far, the results have been pretty positive. Companies that have implemented the 4-day week have reported increased productivity, lower absenteeism, and happier employees. In fact, a study by the University of Auckland found that productivity increased by 20% when a New Zealand company switched to a 4-day week. But which companies have embraced the 4-day week? New Zealand was one of the first to give it a try back in 2018. The experiment was a success, and since then, the concept has spread to other countries like the UK, Sweden, and the Netherlands. In the UK, a company called Perkbox switched to a 4-day week and found that not only were their employees happier and more productive, but the company saved money on things like electricity and water usage. And it's not just limited to Europe and the antipodes. In the US, companies like Microsoft and Deloitte have also been testing out the 4-day week with positive results. In fact, Microsoft Japan saw a 40% increase in productivity when they implemented a 4-day week for their employees. But it's not just big corporations that are trying out the 4-day week. Small businesses and startups are also giving it a go, with many seeing similar benefits. One such company is Treehouse, a Utah-based online education company that switched to a 4-day week in 2013. Founder Ryan Carson has said that the switch has been a win-win for both the company and its employees, with productivity remaining high and employee retention improving. So what's the secret to making the 4-day work week? It turns out that it's all about finding the right balance. Some companies have implemented it as a permanent change, while others have made it as an option for employees on a voluntary basis. But it's not just about giving employees an extra day off. It's also about giving them the flexibility to manage their time and work in a way that suits them best. For example, some employees might prefer to work longer hours on the days they are in the office, while others might prefer to take a longer lunch break or start and end their day later or earlier. One thing that's important to note is that the 4-day week doesn't necessarily mean that employees are working fewer hours overall. In many cases, it just means that the hours are condensed into a shorter period of time. This can actually make it easier for employees to focus on their work and be more productive because they have fewer distractions and interruptions. Another benefit of the 4-day week is that it can help reduce carbon emissions, since employees are commuting to work fewer days per week. This is something that's particularly important given the current climate crisis. But what about the potential downsides? One concern is that employees might feel more pressure to get their work done in a shorter amount of time, which could lead to burnout. That's why it's important for companies to carefully consider how they implement the 4-day week, and to make sure that they're providing employees with the support and resources they need to be successful. This could include things like providing additional training or support, or giving employees the option to work remotely on their days off. Another concern is that the 4-day week might not be feasible for certain industries or types of work. For example, it might be difficult for companies that require round-the-clock coverage, such as hospitals or emergency services, to implement a 4-day week. Despite these potential challenges, the 4-day week is definitely worth considering for many companies. Not only can it lead to increased productivity and employee satisfaction, but it can also have a positive impact on the environment and on work-life balance. So would you like to see the 4-day week become more widespread? Do you already work a 4-day weekend? Let us know in the comments below. Before we go, we've got a quick joke for you. Why was the math book sad? Because it had too many problems. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.